World War II was a significant event in world history that has shaped the world we live in today. There are numerous scenarios in which the victory could have differed. That can imply the opposite, where a significant effect might not have had a change. Such was the escape at Dunkirk. The, the war started when Hitler initiated his path of aggression by directly going against the Treaty of Versailles. He ordered his military to reoccupy the Rhineland district, which was on the border of France and had been a demilitarized zone. For the poorly equipped and unprepared German army, this was very risky. They were ordered to retreat if faced with any French opposition, but managed to succeed when no one stood in their way. Emboldened by France not wanting war, Hitler set his sights on Austria and Czechoslovakia. Great Britain and France did not get involved until Hitler had decided to invade Poland. But since Hitler didn't attack until he was guaranteed that the Soviet Union wouldn't intervene by signing a non-aggression pact with them. Hitler invaded Poland, Norway, the Netherlands, and Belgium. Afterward, the German army went on to decimate France. General Viscount Gort, the commander of the French Expeditionary Force at the time, saw that they were fighting a futile battle. Germany had the upper hand. So when the French called on him to join in an attempt to repel the oncoming German forces, he decided that the best course of action would be to escape. On May 23, 1940, Gort ordered his troops, along with some French and Belgian troops, to evacuate to a nearby port known as Dunkirk. The British forces would have to fight their way to the port and defend against German forces until they could escape. But through tenacity and maybe even sheer luck, the near impossible task was fulfilled. Instead of the expected 30,000 troops being expected to escape, over 300,000 soldiers managed to get away. This was a definite turning point in the war, and some even call it a miracle. So, what would have happened if the escape at Dunkirk had failed? If the escape at Dunkirk had failed, then the outcome of what had happened afterwards wouldn't have changed much. Shortly after the escape of Dunkirk, France fell to Germany. With this, the only remaining country opposing Hitler was Great Britain. During early summer, Hitler began an aerial attack to establish air superiority against Great Britain. They outnumbered British RAF fighters by almost 4 to 1. For 57 consecutive days, London was bombed either during the day or night. Many civilians sought underground stations for shelter until Hitler called off his bombers on May 11, 1941, to prepare an invasion on the Soviet Union. This was the first all-air battle in history, which means that a majority of the Dunkirk escapees actually didn't get involved. This victory was managed without the soldiers from Dunkirk because the odds were in the British favor. Their defensive system was notable, their pilots were first-rate, and they had an experienced military leader by the name of Air Marshal Hugh Dowding. The Germans had previously suffered heavy losses to their navy, and the Luftwaffe, their air force. Germany also lacked information on the British vulnerabilities, and had expected them to surrender earlier. Some might say that the escape at Dunkirk boosted the morale of Britain to keep fighting, but it is highly unlikely that Britain would have never easily surrendered, even if the escape at Dunkirk would have failed. This is because their previous Prime Minister Chamberlain knew that Hitler's ambitions wouldn't be limited so easily. The escape also preserved troops so as to allow them to fight other battles for Britain. But, all in all, the significance of the soldiers from Dunkirk in changing the tides of war were almost slim to none.